Well, everybody, and welcome to this HCT podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and our guest on the program today is Heidi Hoskinson, who is running, I'm going to say it's Dr.
It is.
Heidi Hoskinson, who's running for USD 373 School Board. How are you doing today, Heidi?
I'm doing great. How are you, Lance?
Very good, very good. I always got to put the title in there. I don't get too many doctors out here, so I was like, oh man, I did it.
Yeah,
I was going to say
awesome.
that. Thought about the introduction and wanted to make sure I did that, and then I didn't, and it's like, oh my goodness. So
it's all good.
Yeah.
No, it's all good.
Well, once again, I appreciate you coming out here on the program. I just got to say for the audience that, I get excited about every podcast and everybody that I'm going to interview. I really do, because I like to know why people do what they do, what their life experiences are, why the way they think the way they think, and then especially when people are out here trying to do things that are beneficial to the community. And in this situation with Heidi, I'm very excited for this interview. I really am. I've always appreciated you. I know that you have endeavored to run for politics before in different situations. Having been in that realm myself, I will say that you've always been extremely courteous and kind to me. We've always had wonderful conversations. Probably don't always agree on everything, but the character of an individual shows out when under pressure, and then being able to have policy discussions with people that we either do agree with or maybe disagree with is very important to do so in a respectful and kind way. And you have always done that with me. You know that, Heidi?
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's super important too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because you haven't been out here on the program before, there's nothing to go back in the archives and hear about Heidi's life, where she came from, where you grow up, your education, the whole thing, or just what brought you here to Newton, Kansas, or North Newton, or Harvey County, wherever you reside at currently. Okay. But where did you grow up?
Wow, that's a great question to start. I'll start here. My parents are native Oklahomans.
Okay.
So that sort of tells you sort of grounding in terms of space. My dad, when he graduated college, went to work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So they moved around a lot when I was a kid. When I was really little, we lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right outside of the city there. And then we moved to Denver with his work. So I went to high school in Denver and then went to college in Denver, got an undergraduate degree at Fort Lewis College. Then went on to grad school in Connecticut because I kind of wanted to see the world, thought I should move far away from home, check things out. So went to the East Coast, checked that out. Then went off and did some professional work and worked a lot of places. Went to Hawaii for a while, went to Chicago for a while. Then I did my first stint in Kansas, and I worked at Friends University. That was my first introduction to Kansas. Lived in Bel Air, right outside of Wichita, for 10 years. Then worked in Oklahoma for a while, and then actually came back to Bethel College, where I work now, and have been here for almost 5 years now. Live in Newton, love it, absolutely love it, and can't imagine leaving anytime soon.
Very cool, very cool. So you're a transplant.
I am a transplant.
Yes, there's a lot of people, and I've noticed this, that come from different areas to our community and absolutely fall in love. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the transplants, in some instances, put down roots, develop stronger roots, and then come to a point in which they bear fruit and want to share that fruit with the community.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I really fell in love with the Wichita area. Made some really solid friends, met my husband there in Wichita, then knew I wanted to come back after I moved to Oklahoma for a while for work. And then when the opportunity to come back to Bethel came, I was like, yep, I got to come back because I knew I needed to come back because you have that feeling like I really resonate there. I really like it there. I really like the people there. I like the place. It just means something to me. So I knew that I needed to come back.
So you're at home.
Yeah. It's
a feeling
like
of home.
It really is.
And when you move around a lot,
yeah.
I always am interested, what's home, right? So 2 questions. Mm-hmm. What was your education in? Mm-hmm. What's you're a doctor, Hoskinson. So just what that is in. Okay. And then also, Do you find that to be the case where, if you've moved around, you've had a lot of different places that you've lived, but at some point there's got to be a connection of home, right? That thing that we always think of in our mind is home. And I think no matter where I would go, even if I might move around, that home is always Harvey County for me.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, to start with the first part, I went to the University of Oklahoma and got my PhD in adult and higher education administration. Cool. As my emphasis. Yeah. So I've been doing work in the higher education realm for almost 31 years now. So really, really loved it. Fell in love with it when I was an undergrad. And wanted to do it sort of as my life's work. So yeah, my master's degree is in that area, and then my PhD is also in that area.
You could be like a president of a school.
I could. That's maybe the ultimate goal. So maybe
awesome.
sometime,
So awesome.
yeah, I'd like to do that.
I love it because you're hitting on my heartstring, right? Which is I believe in education. I believe 100%. In higher education, and then when you talk about the administration part of that, that's basically how we. Or how a school then chooses to set policy and focus in on curriculum and how that's administered to the students. So Absolutely. It's all about future thinking on how we bring up the students in their education for the future. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're not absolutely right. And I think kind of connects to the other question you were asking. You kind of create or cultivate an experience for students as an administrator that does those things, teaches them how to be excellent at the craft that they want to pursue, teaches them how to be a citizen of the world in which they live, and then teaches them how to be a contributing person and make a difference for other people and live in community. So if you're doing all those things as an administrator, you're doing a pretty good job, I think. And then ultimately, you're creating a home for a student, right? So back to that whole home question, what does that mean, and what does that mean to people? So if we create that environment at a college or a university for students in a place where they feel like they really belong and can thrive and can flourish, then we've probably done a pretty good job as an administrator working at fulfilling our mission in the higher education space.
I know Bethel College really focuses in on bringing students in and then giving them real world experience in the community. And what you're talking about, I say, first you live it, right? You're not just telling people, you're living it. And I think we'll get into some of that in the podcast, maybe some whys behind what you do. But I'm already starting to understand you as an individual to say that, well, I guess I want to ask a quick question here. If the purpose, as you stated, is such, then when you are bringing students to Bethel College to be lifelong threshers, and then they get real world experience in the community, the focuses are on what you had just mentioned, then you're hoping that people will be transplants, put down roots at Bethel, stay in the community, and then offer their education and service to the community that they're in.
You absolutely have to hope that that's the ultimate result of your work, is that you're building students who will ultimately want to stay and contribute to the community in which they found a home or they found a place to belong. That would be the ultimate dream, is that you would create a culture and a space and a relationship with a community that embraces students that you've brought from either other parts of Kansas or other parts of the United States or other parts of the world to come together and love it so much, or be engaged so much, or belong so much that they wouldn't want to leave. Absolutely.
Okay, with all the education that you have, being all the different places, and through your work history, I want you to give a shout out to Bethel and the Threshers here. What is one of the best things, or in your opinion, what is something that Bethel does best?
Wow, that's great. Yeah, well, let me get a shout out to the Threshers. Roll on, Threshers. I think the best thing we do is really we create a really special community for students to be cared about and seen and supported. I think that that's really what we do best, is create that community. And we can do that because we're really small. We're not a big college where you're going to be a number. You're going to have 100 or 200 people in your class. You're going to know each other. You're going to know your faculty members. You're going to know staff members. You're going to know people are going to know your name, and people are going to be like, how are you? And they're going to care genuinely how you answer that question. And they're going to be involved in what you're doing. They're going to cheer you on the field. They're going to come to your theater production. They're going to know what you're doing. And I think that that's really where we excel, is that whole idea of bringing you into a community, caring about you, and making sure that you succeed.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I would have to say I concur with that overview, because that seems to be a lot of individual students' experience. And then not only that, but just wanting to go in full circle and wanting to say that their experience at Bethel College was one that they really took to heart, and then want to stay in the community. I don't know the statistics on retention, right? But I think there are many instances and cases of individuals that go to Bethel College that I see, that I talk to, because my ear perks up the minute that they say they're a Thresher, and I ask them what they like about it. And generally speaking, it comes back to the community, like you're talking about. And it seems, in my opinion, once again, too, that develops and nurtures, like you said before, a desire to be community minded, to want to be part of the community and to give back in some way, shape, or form. So, okay, so we're going to get right into it. Okay. Well, you're running for USD 373 School Board, and I know that in the past you have run for another office, maybe two at some point in time. Is that?
I ran for school board before.
Okay.
And then I also ran for the House seat, District 72.
Okay. And then now running for school board again.
Yeah.
Okay. So, needless to say, you're not new at this,
No.
right? And you've kind of been through a few cycles of it or whatever. Yeah. And I guess I like I said at the beginning, I always want to know the why behind what people do. And I know that, and I'm just going to say this, and hopefully I'm not projecting this onto you, but just looking at it from my worldview, which is, I know many people who have run for office. I know many people who have ran for office, been elected, and are serving or have served. And one of the things that I think touches every last one of them is that the criticism is high. The appreciation oftentimes is low. You're in a position to make a decision. Well, generally speaking, the way the dynamics of politics are, whether partisan or nonpartisan, is that you're going to have people that agree with your decision, and you're going to have people that don't agree with your decision. But you're also on the ground floor. So when you're in the realm of just discussing policy ideas and perspectives as a way to either think outside the box, bring your worldview, maybe aspire to represent people that feel like they're underrepresented. There's a big box there, right? But without projecting all of that onto you, I guess my question behind it is, looking back to when you ran for school board the first time, what's the why behind that, Heidi?
I think the why is just a desire to really get involved more deeply with the educational process in this area. I see that we have some gifts in Harvey County that other places don't have. We have a really strong connection between the Newton High School and the higher education community, both Bethel High School, Hutchinson Community College, with the career and tech education program, and the pipeline to Bethel for 4-year degrees. We have, some ability to do what I would call a kind of preschool or kindergarten to grade 20, which would be a 4-year degree, a full educational focus in our community that other communities probably don't have the opportunity to do because they don't have a college or college partners in their backyard or in their hometown. And I think we're missing an opportunity there to really leverage that in collaboration with the enormous impact that the economic development committees or board is having with attracting businesses and economic development to the area, and the, I guess, tear you would say that the city is on to, raise roofs and attract amenities to the city and to the county. We're in this pivotal area right now where we could really, if we aligned all of those things together, we could be an economic juggernaut in South Central Kansas and attract people and attract just an amazing way of life to this area that I think could really revolutionize and really energize the way that we are here. And I think that's exciting. And I think that, the right people on the board of education could really solidify those relationships and make some really interesting things happen. And that's kind of exciting to me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I think that's kind of where I wanted to run. And I think if we could do that, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I always, in most cases on the podcast, I want to see both sides of the coin, right? I usually speak of, well, what's a challenge and what's a success, and just right now, I feel led to ask the question: when you first decided, I'm going to put my name on the ballot, I'm going to run for school board, you'd never run for public office before?
Correct.
Okay, so
the first time.
What was something that you look to or can look back to as one of the greatest challenges that you had to face once endeavoring to do that?
I think the greatest challenge when I first ran for school board is I was pretty new to Newton. I had just been here maybe a couple of years at that point, and although I wasn't new to Kansas, I had been living in Kansas before, but I had just come back, not recently. I think the hardest part was not knowing, sort of the players in town and not knowing a lot of people and being new myself and sort of trying to introduce myself as well as trying to figure out how and who to, introduce myself to and who are the kind of movers and shakers and who to be connected with and how to get connected in the community. I think that was a big challenge to me. Plus, I think I think from the outside looking in, you think that running a campaign is pretty easy. It seems simple. And then you go, holy crap, this is super hard. Like, there's all these things, like, you don't even know. Like, oh, I have to, get a web page, or I should get a Facebook presence, and I should have an email, and you should do all these things. Oh, I have to have signs, and I have to have walking cards, and you have to do this, and you have to do, there are so many things that you just, from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, that seems easy. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, these details and all these things. And it was a lot more complicated than I thought. Yeah. And so I learned a ton, which that was a good learning, but a complex and complicated learning too.
Right. And I concur,
yeah.
Right. You decide oftentimes I've said that I went at things naively when I chose to, and I can resonate with the challenge that you're talking about because, I don't know if naive is a good word to use, but innocently, you make the decision, I love this community, I want to be part of this community, I want to be part of helping make policy and serving people, and so I'm going to run for this office. And real quick, you're like, oh man, and the most difficult part of that is that while you're trying to go out and be an effective campaigner, you're having to learn all this stuff on the fly, right?
Correct. You're having to learn. And then you're also having to sort of put yourself out there, introduce yourself, but be like, oh, but I have to do this and introduce myself this way and do this and do this and do this. And yeah, it's complicated to craft your campaign and also learn how to run your campaign at the same time. It's like building the plane and flying the plane
at the same time, right?
Yeah. You're like, oh gosh, okay.
I'm already in flight, so now I'm trying to say yes.
Run up to the cockpit, fly the plane. Oh, run back and serve the drinks. Oh, run up to the cockpit, fly the plane, run back and get the meal ready. Yeah, right. It's very, yeah. But a true joy and really fun, but also very nerve-wracking at the same time. Yeah,
going back to the question of a challenge.
Yeah.
That is a
really
true challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so after you ran the first time and you were not successful,
correct.
Then you either make the decision, and we see a lot of people that just come run for office, they're not successful, so they're just like, to heck with this was not for me, or whatever the case may be. Too difficult, too time consuming, didn't work out the way they wanted it, whatever the case may be. But it says a lot about an individual that after they are unsuccessful, that then turn around and say, I'm going to do this again.
Yeah.
So after that experience, okay, and just sitting in that place, what was your heart attitude and the mindset behind choosing to do this again?
I think it was interesting. There were a lot of controversial, I guess I would say, things that were happening at the board level at the first time I ran for the school board. And there were a lot of people who came out and ran in that particular election. So there were only, I think, 2 seats open, and there were like 8 or 9 people running. So the odds were really kind of not in our favor for any one person to get in there. So I thought, maybe it was worth it to try it again, because that was a different kind of election in terms of the calculus of being on the board and sort of the over or undercurrent about what was going on. And I thought, I still have something to contribute to the board. And I still think that I have important contribution to make. And I think I have important ideas to share. And I think I want to do something that is meaningful for the community. And I think that would be, and it's something that is really deep in the core of who I am, not only as a professional person, but also as a personal person. I really believe in the power of education at all levels to transform a person's life. And we see it. Not only do we see it in K through 12, if a person can graduate from high school, they transform their life. But if a person can graduate from college, it transforms not only their life, but generations of their family's life. Yeah. So I really feel strongly about that and being a part of that. And so I feel like running again was the thing that I just feel compelled to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I've heard you say so far is that you talked about the CTE program at the high school, which for people that don't know or that do know, that is a community partnership, or I guess I would say an educational partnership between, most oftentimes, Hutchinson Community College and the high school, which takes students, instead of them just graduating with a high school diploma, but providing them while they're going to school with a trade, if that's the direction they want to go, right?
Correct.
So you are taking that pipeline that you're talking about, the K through 12, and then providing them with an educational experience that provides them with some secondary education to project them into a better life, right? And give them more skills and experiences. You also mentioned the dynamics of us having a college here locally and the relationship that can be nurtured between USD 373 and Bethel College in order to provide those youth or students graduating from high school that if they want to go on to a 4-year college, there is a 4-year college here. Yeah. So I hear you saying that you believe that not only K through 12 education is extremely important, and also secondary education, but you are endeavoring to be in on a board where you're making policy at a K through 12 level. In your opinion, do you think that, without being critical, I mean, I'm not trying to, point out negative or criticism here, but do you think there are ways that our K through 12 education system could be improved, and you being a contributing person to that through your education is going to allow you to bring ideas and knowledge to the table about policy making that's going to be beneficial to our K through 12 system?
I do think so. I think we see the product of a K through 12 education walk through the door of a higher ed institution every day. And so I think we can be sort of influential in maybe influencing what that product looks like coming out of the high school door, because we see what the product can do in our environment. So I think that might be helpful from that perspective, is to say, hey, we know what challenges your students are having at a next level.
Very cool.
So if you do these things at your level, perhaps they won't have these challenges at the next level. So I do think that would be super helpful for that perspective to be at the table. I do think that we could also, nip some things or help them develop some things at an earlier time frame that would give them more chances to practice on the way up to the higher education level. Even things that are sort of like soft skills, when to start working on soft skills like communication skills or self-management skills, those kinds of things, that interpersonal relationship skills. Maybe we can, the challenges that we see that 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds have in those soft skill areas, we could maybe influence our K-12 colleagues to start working on those skills differently at different age groups, to help them master those skills when they get up to being young adults. I think all of those things would be helpful to be able to partner up with our K-12 colleagues. But if we don't make those bridges in some meaningful way, we can never build those partnerships and share that knowledge across.
I like that. Looking back, and I don't want to go back because I've got I'm firing on all cylinders here, Heidi. I have so many questions to ask. So my question then becomes, because I want to know this as we move forward, as soon as you had found out that you were not successful the first time that you ran, did you know right then and there, I'm going to do this again?
No, probably not. I probably didn't. I was like, okay, I'm going to do something different, or I don't know what's going to happen next.
Right.
I probably didn't know right away that I was going to do it again.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably had to think about it a while.
Think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then decided to dive off the deep end again.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
2 years, and also I would think that over that time that, in the beginning, you'd mentioned challenges being that you really didn't know a whole lot of people, and maybe a whole lot of people didn't know you, and so then you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Well, that gave a lot of people in the community time to get to know you. It's like, if you wouldn't have done that, we might have walked by each other or been in line at the Dillons or the Walmarts or whatever and never had a conversation. So it's really interesting how when a person does put themselves out there, that gives the community the opportunity to get to know you, and then that also allows for you to find out, well, who are these people that I can learn so I can be more effective, or so I can have a better understanding how this whole puzzle goes together in order to just make myself a better person, that when the time does come, I can serve in some way or another, be it this capacity, another capacity, or however it might be, to really benefit the community in some way. Absolutely
right. And I think what was cool for me was that then people knew my name and they would come up and say, hey, you ran for school board, or then when I ran for state house, they were like, oh, hey, you ran for school board before, now you're running for the house seat. That's really cool. And here's what I think, or here's what I really appreciated about this, or here's, here's my opinion on this. And I thought it was really great that people then started to be open to approaching and having conversations because they knew that I wasn't afraid to be approachable, or I wasn't afraid to enter in conversations or have dialogue with people. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and I got to say, okay, like I had mentioned at the beginning of the program, something about you that I really appreciate is as I have watched you, right, through this whole situation, the first time that the house and then now, you never ever stooped low. You never sacrificed your character or your integrity. You were very professional about getting in a forum or anything, or campaigning, flyers, the whole thing. You held yourself to a higher standard in a for lack of a better word, a game, right? If we're going to call politics the game, if we're playing chess here, you never come along and knocked all the pieces down. There's so many ways that I could use analogies to give prick the imagination of individuals to think, well, you know what? Heidi always maintained integrity. She always maintained her character. And I got to say, I really appreciate that about you. In a world of, generally speaking, where politics becomes, or running for election becomes, voting for the lesser of two evils, which is, well, as long as I throw as much shade as I possibly can on this under individual, then people will vote against them versus vote for me. And you've always maintained a standard which I think is very beneficial to our community and very beneficial to anybody that is looking at you as someone who might be able to navigate some difficult waters. And speaking of the school board, and you mentioning that also, that there was a lot of undercurrents and there was some decisions that were made and there was a lot of controversy. And we know even now that we're one board member short.
Correct.
And we're on a 6-person board because no decision could be made.
That is
so
correct.
What do you feel going forward, or what do you think going forward is the biggest challenge facing USD 373 currently?
I think there's a lot of challenges probably facing the district. Probably 3 of the big ones, I think, are the conversation about the school bond and making sure that they're transparent about what the bond is for, why it's important, and what the needs are for the school district in terms of a bond issue. I think the other really critical issue going forward is personnel, and particularly teachers. How to attract teachers to the district, how to retain the teachers we do have, and how to adequately compensate teachers for the jobs that they do. I think that's a concern continually around personnel. And I think probably the biggest sort of existential challenge for the district is how education is changing writ large. There are things that are happening in the educational sphere, even in higher ed, but I think more so pre-K or K-12, that we're going to have to pay attention to the next 5 to 10 years, and probably will revolutionize the way that we think about education. And we probably need to be a little bit ahead of that and try and figure out how we're going to position ourselves to handle that. The kinds of students that are coming to school are going to be different. The kinds of pressures externally on the educational system are going to be different. The kinds of support coming from states and federal government is going to be different. And we need to position ourselves for that. The impact of technology is going to be different. AI is going to change the way that we educate students and the way that children receive and process information. And we have to be cognizant of all of those things and think about how we're going to educate students in that frame of the coming years. So I think those are the 3 kind of big things that are facing the district right now. It's going to take some some creative thinking and some folks who are willing to really have conversations that are probably not going to be easy conversations, but conversations that are going to have to be had.
Yeah, I got to say, and this is me, but I just want to pick your brain about something is, it seems as though the educational system and how we teach our students has not changed a whole lot over time, right? So where that might have been okay from 1950 to 1990, let's say, and we were, doing something a certain way and then just in the market of producing graduated students, all right? Then we have technology. And I believe, my personal opinion is that, especially in the educational realm, what was okay for a 50-year period of time now needs to mold and shape every decade. And it might actually need to mold and shape every 5 years as we move forward. Mm-hmm. So just me saying that, what are your thoughts on that, Heidi?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's an interesting, I would call it experiment going on. I think it's in Houston right now. They have a AI generated educational school. I wouldn't call it a school necessarily, but it's an experiment where they're teaching students what would normally be an 8-hour educational day with several classes in a 2-hour block using AI. It costs $70,000 to do per student.
Wow.
But think about that. If you can teach students 8 hours in a 2-hour block and it's just as effective in an AI generated environment, at that price point, what does that mean for education going forward? So, those are the kinds of things I think we have to start talking about. And that's like today.
Yeah.
That's not 5 years from now. That's today. They're doing this experiment. So if you think about what's tomorrow going to be like, and if those are the price points or those are the resources we're going to need, or what does that mean for the future of education? What does that mean for the future of people related to that? What kinds of people we're going to need? What kinds of teachers are those? What kinds of support folks are those? Are those more IT folks? Are those more funky tech kind of people? What does that mean for educational institutions that are training teachers? There's ramifications around all of that. We got to start talking about that now.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. That's today. And if we're not talking about that today, we're not ready for what happens next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So that's, I think, where, that's my thought, is that we got to get thinking forward, way forward, about what is going to be happening in 2030, 35, 40, 50 now, because that's where we have to position ourselves to be thinking about what are our kids going to need and how are we going to provide it for them in that space.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because now that we're having this dialogue on this particular subject, when you look at a student group of kindergarten to fourth grade, your elementary school level, and your middle school level, and of course we have two middle schools, different ones, but let's just say the middle school level, the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grades, okay? Then you go to the high school level. What educational experience each one of those groups of students need, what we need for our high school today to go to college and into the workforce, or to do a trade and into the workforce to be productive members of society, might look different for people that are in middle school and might look completely different for people that are in elementary school. And I just got to say, before anybody wants to say it, I did not hear you say that we need to spend $70,000 a student.
I did not say that.
But what I heard you say is we need to put a focus now on what the future looks like and make or discuss or really dive into understanding how the future generations are going to be educated. Am I wrong in that?
No, I think that's exactly what I'm saying.
Because I was thinking as we were talking, I was like, oh no.
No,
So
I'm not saying that.
Oh yeah, it's Heidi wants to do an AI program.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm not saying that at all.
I'm going to title this Heidi Hoskinson, 2 hours a day education, $70,000 people do the math, folks.
Yeah, no,
I'm just teasing. But it's I just wanted to clarify that, just to understand that I truly believe in what you're saying. Yeah. And I think, although there has been some discussion around that with individuals who are running for school board, and I've interviewed a couple. Mm-hmm. I'm only interviewing 3 school board members. So, those will come out over the next coming weeks. Cool. I appreciate your forward thinking and the understanding that we have to develop an educational system that serves the needs of each individual student group, mm-hmm. and realizing that changes quickly, and that we've got to stay on top of it. Plus, I appreciate your understanding of implementation of policy, which is everybody expects for government to move quickly, and school systems are a form of public entity, which would be considered a government entity, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So if we say that government moves slowly, then we need to know that if we try to implement a policy next year, that before that policy is fully implemented, it might be 2-3 years. So you really have to be on your toes and understand and have a strategy and have a vision, and from there do everything you can working with administration to implement that. Agreed?
Yeah, 100% agreed. And really, I think the role of the board is really to get out of the way, is of the administrators, hire good administrators and get out of the way. But to be in a role that gives them the support and the resources or clears the way for them to do their work. And that, by saying that, I think the board then becomes the 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 foot view of where are we strategically thinking long term about generating resources or clearing the paths or, harnessing the partnerships that we're going to need to do the things that we need to do. The administrators that we have on the ground working to implement, we need to give them the tools they need to do their work. That's what the board's job is, really, is to be at that high level, clearing the way so that they can do their good work.
So you don't believe in micromanaging?
I do not believe in that. No, I do not.
You believe in empowering people to do their thing.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Because I think, if the boards can get way in the details of things and really, muck things up a lot of times, unfortunately. But I think that, the board needs to be that forward-thinking, visionary kind of place where they're thinking about these big ideas and trying to get ahead or stay at least in track with what could be happening, so that they can clear paths and get pathways and resources so that people can get what they need to do the work that they need to do. That's super important.
It is important.
Yeah. And if we don't do those kinds of things, then we're going to put our students at a disadvantage. And that's not good for anybody.
Agreed. 100%. You had talked about, and I suppose it could be looked at as this is a challenging question, but you had mentioned economic development. You had mentioned the pipeline from our pre-K to our K-12 to college application, whether it be CTE or a 4-year degree, and then trying to nurture culture even in your current job to keep people here, to keep educated people here. And then you mentioned the city and what they're trying to do. How important do you think USD 373 is to economic development?
Well, we know that potential corporations who want to relocate their businesses here look at two things. Do you have the workforce I need to be successful? And do you have the place where I can be that people want to be to stay working at my place, my corporation? And by that place means, do you have good schools? Do you have places for them to live, housing? Do you have amenities for them to take advantage of? So schools factor prominently in that equation. And, you know, I think that if we do not have schools that people feel confident that their prospective employees want to be a part of, then they're not going to locate their business here.
Yeah. With children, I got to say, I agree 100% again.
Yeah.
Look at all the things we agree on. Right? I love it. But yeah, you know, as a parent with students in the school system, like the number one thing, you know, when it comes to opportunities through employment that everyone who has children look at, right? And that's your demographic of individuals that are actively potentially going to relocate for a business work opportunity. Yeah. So it's always, what's the schools like?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have houses that I would like to live in? And what are the schools like for my children?
Yeah.
And then probably third is, do you have amenities?
Yes.
Do you have some restaurants I want to eat at? Do you have some shopping I want to do?
Yeah. And that three-legged stool, well,
it's critical.
It's critical because you can't have one part of that that's less or you're not working on and expect for somebody to want to sit on the stool, right? They're just not going to do it. So,
right.
Okay.
And businesses are not going to come if they think that there's one part of the stool that's not strong.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to locate in Harvey County. And if that's the case, then we're not going to grow. We're not going to reap the benefits of economic development because they're not going to be here.
Yeah.
And then we're not going to have it's all cyclical. We're not going to have the tax base to funnel the money into the city to do the things that need to be done to grow the city. It's all cyclical.
Yeah, and then I'm saying this, not you, but then the tax burden once again falls on the homeowner, and then it just keeps pricing everybody out. Either that, or you sacrifice services, and we have a very strong momentum right now when it comes to economic development, and in my I'm saying this, okay?
In Lance's opinion.
As a voter, okay, I believe that one leg of that stool has not been nurtured by the community in the way it needs to be in order to continue to move forward with the economic. It's like one of the last things that we as a community need to get behind and be. No offense to Threshers here, but pro railroaders, right?
Okay. No, none taken. So, the Threshers are pro railroaders too.
Yes.
Because guess what? It helps us too.
Yes.
It helps us if USD 373 is strong, because we also are an employer. I mean, believe it or not, Bethel College is an employer and a business in Harvey County.
Yeah.
We employ a lot of people. We want to attract quality faculty members, quality staff members, and they have the exact same criteria as other people.
100%.
Are there good schools for my kids? Are there houses to live in? You know, we want to have good employees too. So it's important for us that USD 373 is viable and strong, because we have the same employer concerns that other people do.
And wouldn't it be cool for kids that are railroaders to say, I want to be a thresher?
We would love it. We would love it. And we would love for more of them to want to be threshers. Yeah. And I think there's opportunity. There's a ton of opportunity to think about how we could actually make that happen. I've worked at other places where the partnership between the college and the city or the county has been so strong that there's just a direct pipeline. Like if you go to the hometown high school, you're automatically going to the hometown college, and there's, dollars that are allocated to fund scholarships that are automatics and all of those things. So there's not a question of that pipeline being just straight line.
Like if you're from Newton and you graduate from Newton High
School,
and you
you're
go to
going
Bethel,
right to Bethel.
Then you get a scholarship.
Then you get a scholarship, like hometown hero scholarship or hometown whatever scholarship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's a ton of ways that, we can think about how to, leverage, like I said before, leverage these things that not every community has. Not every community has a college, 4-year college, bachelor's degree granting institution in their backyard. Not every community has a 2-year technical degree granting institution in their backyard. That can really be economic drivers and employee creators for businesses, and perpetuate the strength and vitality of the community on an ongoing basis, where we can grow our own perpetually. And not everyone has the opportunity to do that.
And that needs to be the goal,
and
right?
It's so exciting to me.
And
it's like we're missing out. Let's get it done.
And we may be doing it some ways, but that doesn't mean that we can't improve. And I think it's interesting. Like, I'm even getting excited here talking to you, because it's if that's the goal, and we know that that's going to take a few years to get there, but if that's the goal, then let's work towards that goal. And then at the end of that, as we continue in our community to have economic development, then the people that are looking for workforce, educated workforce, I mean, from top to bottom, you can come to our community and we are putting out the people that want to do the trade. We're putting out the person that's like, well, I don't really want to do a trade and I don't want a 4-year degree, but I'm okay just having a good paying job and being a laborer, right?
Exactly.
Or, we need people that are understanding in these different departments so we can hire college educated people to be in our business. I mean, that's on point. I gotta say that's on point. Okay, so just the elephant in the room that I've got to ask you. I'm sure you already know what I'm going to ask. Okay. Do you support the upcoming bond? And if so, why? If no, why?
I absolutely support the upcoming bond, and I support it because I have been in the buildings that are will be affected most by it. If you've been in Chisholm Middle School, you know that those part of those facilities are original facilities from 1957. They are no longer effective places for students to learn and grow. They must be renovated to accommodate 2025 level learning, growing, and students. The high school, which according to the new the bond proposal, will get most of the dollars. We'll renovate the culinary areas, the chemistry labs, remove temporary walls, which were put up in 1970 as temporary walls, so not really temporary anymore. Add storm shelters, which are super important, I think. Security measures, which we cannot say enough about security measures these days. So I think, when you look at what the bond dollars will cover, super important, like we said before, to be forward thinking around what are the needs of our students today, what will be the needs of our students in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And if we don't do this now, those costs will just accelerate. They will not diminish. They will not decrease. And we can't continue to train students in 1970s or 80s or 90s facilities in 2020, 2030, 2040. So I think it's critical. Plus, to full circle back to the economic development thing, if we don't pass a bond and improve our facilities, businesses who are already looking at our school district and are already thinking that we don't support it and don't invest in it are going to go, oh, they just didn't approve a bond, so now they're really not that engaged in their school district, so we're not going to locate there.
Yeah, that's
so totally all comes back.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Cyclical. Cyclical.
Very cyclical.
Okay, Heidi.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end of the program.
Wow, that was fast.
It does go fast. Sometimes I wish we could do 2 hours. I know.
right?
I usually try to limit to an hour because
That's awesome.
if not, we could go on forever. I know we could. And I look forward to many more conversations with you. I just got to say, before I give you the opportunity to have the last word and speak directly to the hearts and the minds of anybody listening, I truly support you, and I support your campaign and what you're endeavoring to do. And I'm just going to tell you right now, or anybody listening, Heidi has one of my votes. And I was thinking about who I could have on, and knew that there was no way I could get everybody on. And so I just made the executive decision, because this is Lance's podcast and I only have to answer to me, and there's nobody else I have to answer to, is that, I want to have the people on from all of these different entities and people that are running who have not only impacted my life, but allowed me to have good communication with you, and that you've always shown integrity, and that you see forward and you have forward thinking. So no pressure on the last word, but I just want to let you know that you have secured one of my votes, Heidi.
Hey, I super appreciate that. That's one down. Many more to go.
Love it.
That's awesome.
So if you don't win, I voted for you. We'll just go right there. If you win, I voted for you. So
that's awesome. Super good. That's awesome. Really good. Well, I really appreciate being here today, and I have had a great time. I love talking about all the fun things that could be, but I also am pragmatic. So I think that we have a lot of opportunities that are already happening that are really exciting about USD 373. I love being a part of it. I am a mom. I have a daughter in the school district, so I love being a Railer fan. The Railroaders are very near and dear to my heart. I'm a big supporter, and I will be going forward no matter what happens with the election. But I'm just super excited to be running. I'm super excited to be engaged in the community, and I'm super excited to be even considered as a candidate. And I hope that folks out there will get out and vote. I think that's important. I know that municipal elections aren't always the most exciting ones to vote for, and a lot of turnout is not always doesn't always happen. So I hope that you'll get out and vote on November the 4th, no matter who you vote for. Obviously, I'd love it if you vote for me, but I just want to encourage you all to get out and vote for whatever candidate that you feel will do the best job possible for the students and the future students of USD 373. That's super important for everybody in our community, that we take care of our students, that we make sure that their education is top-notch, and that we send really quality, educated, and good citizens out into our community to live and grow and be future leaders for us. So it's been a pleasure, Lance. I've really enjoyed our hour together.
Absolutely. Well, just want to say thank you once again, Heidi. I want to thank everybody for listening to this HCTalk podcast. This one's a good one, for sure. And our guest on the program today was Heidi Hoskinson, Dr. Heidi Hoskinson, who's running for USD 373 School Board. Have a good one, everybody.